Waiting what they believe is the inevitable, the invasion of their compound by government forces. Their leader says they'll fight to the death if they have to. Tonight, for the first time, I'm going to take you inside, where preparations for war have been made, and an eerie silence hangs in the air.
We drove nearly 60 miles south of Dallas into the sun-baked ranchlands of East Texas. It is here, literally off the beaten path, that we come face to face with an armed camp. Since the standoff began more than 6 months ago, few people have been allowed past the rifles and pistols.
Just keep going.
Past the locked steel gates and barbed wire into this compound. We're the first television journalists allowed inside.
Hi, Joe. Glad to meet you. Thank you.
Their leader is John Joe Gray.
How you doing?
A 51-year-old self-proclaimed freedom fighter.
So we're sitting here surrounded by armed guards, barbed wire, sandbags, and a bunker. What's going on here?
Well, the harassment from the county, sheriff department, and the feds is what's going on out here. They had threatened to come in on us here a few weeks ago.
He's a wanted man, indicted for the assault on 2 state troopers, a felony. But Gray says those are trumped-up charges, and he's not surrendering. Now, as you can see in this home video, Joe, his wife Alicia, his children, and a few supporters, 17 of them in all, are thumbing their noses at the authorities.
What'll happen if they try to raid this place?
We'll defend it. That's all there is to it. If you come out after us, bring extra body bags. Those who live by the sword will die by the sword.
Joe Gray's family, especially Alicia, his wife of more than 30 years, feels the same way.
You're going to stand behind your husband?
No, sir. I'll stand beside my husband, with him all the way. I'm prepared to die for what we believe in.
Who are these people, and why are they so defiant, risking their lives on principle?
Oh, yeah.
John Joe Gray is a colonel in a paramilitary group called the Texas Militia. And for years, Gray has been seen wearing camouflage outfits, distributing anti-government propaganda, sometimes to none other than the sheriff's deputies themselves.
I put out literature about the New World Order and what's going on. And I've done that for years down here. And I think that upset a few people. They didn't like it.
Gray believes that government has taken away too many of his God-given rights. There's a new world order out there, he says, conspiring to deprive Americans of their freedom. In protest, he refuses to pay taxes or do anything that might enslave him to the government.
Do you believe you should have a driver's license?
No, sir.
Do you believe you should have your car registered?
No, sir.
Do you believe you should have a permit for a gun?
No, sir.
And guns are what got Joe Gray in trouble in the first place. His problems with the law began last spring when a car he was riding in was stopped for speeding. Gray was packing a pistol, illegally, according to the state trooper who pulled him over.
He said, you got a permit? I said, no, sir, it's my God-given right to carry. And so he stepped back and pulled his gun out. He said, no, it's not. And I said, yes, sir, it is.
And that's when a scuffle began.
I felt something hit me upside the face. I don't know if he was trying to give me a headlock or hit me. I ain't going to say he did, but it wound up in my mouth.
And you bit him?
I bit him. I hung on to him.
Joe Gray says that incident in this county was all in self-defense. And even though he was indicted, he refuses to appear in court. He says the judges and, in fact, the entire judicial system is corrupt and conspiring against him. Because of those beliefs, he refuses to obey the law.
What if everyone felt that way?
Well, then it'd be a free society then, wouldn't it? You'd be a free nation again, like we used to be.
He now lives like we used to, without electricity or running water, mainly because he hasn't paid his bills.
Here.
In this exclusive video obtained by 2020, you can see that adults and children live in a strange world where the American flag is flown upside down. The little building with the initials of federal law enforcement agencies is the family outhouse. And the vehicles here sport license plates issued by a church called the Kingdom of Heaven.
Yes, so last night I didn't know what to bring.
Throughout the compound, the adults all carry weapons. Men wear their pistols tucked inside their boots. Women coddle their rifles and their babies around the same shoulder.
We had 6 children, and as we were having them, they were growing up. Everybody said, why do you have so many children? And we always said, well, we're building an army for God. But we never knew it might turn into a literal army. But they're ready. They're all at peace with God.
As you drive around the compound, you can make out the sandbags, presumably used for cover in case of an attack. And there, behind a metal door, a bunker with a caution to authorities, kids inside.
They could see your house right from here.
Yeah.
You hear it over and over again, an overwhelming and foreboding sense of paranoia.
The police cars been up there, big vans with discs on top of them been up there.
And maybe with good reason. Some of the townsfolk don't like the way the Grays live and harass them. Just listen to what the Grays captured on home video a few weeks ago. It's a drive-by shooting. Luckily, no one was injured, and the man who was firing his rifle from the back of this truck was later arrested.
My God, it's a whole bunch of them.
That may not be feds.
At night now, the men on this encampment patrol the grounds as sentries, and they also use video cameras to document any movement.
Get all this, Mike.
I'm getting it, Alan.
And any movement at all is suspect.
Persisted.
They turn out to be just curious reporters.
And there's someone else who'd like to get his hands on Joe Gray. It's his former son-in-law who claims that among those behind the bullets and the barbed wire are the 2 most important people in his life, his young sons. Joe Gray is holding them here illegally. When we come back, a father's anguish, his children trapped inside. What will happen to them if things turn violent? Why won't the militia leader let them go?
John Joe Gray is a mouse, and he hides behind women and children. He's hiding behind my children.
Downtown continues. Once again, John Quinones.
We return now to East Texas, where a right-wing extremist and his followers have barricaded themselves inside an armed compound, refusing to come out. It's all unfolding just an hour's drive from Waco, scene of the deadly Branch Davidian standoff. And not surprisingly, what happened there echoes in the mind of one man. His children are locked inside the compound, and he can't get them out. So let me ask you, what would you do if they were yours? What will this father do?
Keith Tarkenton hasn't seen his 2 young sons since the summer of 1999.
The last time I seen them, my wife put them in the back of a truck and was beating on the glass of the window of the truck, crying, saying, I want my daddy, daddy, give me daddy.